Hello everybody and welcome to part 4 of our JavaFX tutorial, and we were creating a login page for our to-do app, and where we last left off was such that we would just click on a button and it would change scenes, but now I've gone ahead and implemented all the logic that we need to interact with our database that we created such that it'll check the username and password. I decided to just go ahead and implement it here because it's actually a decent amount of code. What I'm going to do is go through and explain how it was done and what the lines do. So remember, we had this database called first.db that we already created in our kind of source. Here I created another one just to test, but right, here's first.db. And then we created a table called users, and then we input inside of their username and password, because users just has two fields, username and password. So there's a person in there's a entry rather in our database with username of username and password of password. In addition to that, I went ahead and in order to check against our database, we're going to grab the information out of these, right? So what I did was I went to code, so you might be on layout or something, or right, who knows what you'll be on. Go to code and then change the FX ID to username box, change it to password box, and then if you remember, there's this little label down here that it displays sorry or try again or whatever. Whenever you fail on a login, it displays something, and I just named it invalid label, and then I have the corresponding elements here. Make sure that when you make your changes, you save explicitly, because otherwise they won't be reflected. So once you've done that, go ahead and set that up. I've created a function called isValidCredentials. So what we're going to do is, if isValid credentials returns true, then we will change to the next page that we set up last time. That's something we showed you how to do last time. Otherwise, what we're going to do is clear the username and password fields. It's something that that happens in most kind of forms. And then we'll set the text of our label to say sorry, it doesn't work. Something like this. Clears those and it says sorry. Right. So here's how we created the function: private boolean isValid credentials. We have boolean that we're returning, and then here I've printed out the query that we're using to query our database. So what it does is it selects all from users, uses our table, where the username is equal to whatever's in the box, username, get text, and password, get text. Now keep in mind that we have in here these double quotes with the single quote. That's because in SQL, if you recall, their text fields just have a single quote around them, so you need to format it exactly. Well, you don't need to here, but here it's useful to format it because you see what you're actually sending to your database by printing it out correctly. So I just printed it out to make sure everything's good. I create a new connection, right? This is to make sure here, actually, I don't know why that's there. Right, a connection which we're going to use to right, a connection to connect to our database, a statement to send things like the select, etc. to our database. Right, we have now you have to put a try around all this because it throws an exception. Ideally you also catch and do something useful here. I've just done kind of a very standard thing, just catch any exception and then just print out the name and message. But anyway, we set our connection equal to a driver manager. You might be wondering what that is. Again, you can Java doc it, but essentially it allows for a lot of very useful functions in interacting with our database. We set the connection equal to JDBC, SQLite, and then the name of our database that we created earlier, which is first. And then we set auto commit to false just to be safe. And then we have more printing. And then finally, our statement here, we're going to create a statement. Now, whenever we send something to our database, like a select, we get a result set. or whenever we select for our database anyway, we get a result set. A result set is something set up such that when we select, we're going to get a lot of different rows, a lot of different information, and we can iterate through this result set in order to get that information. So here we have a result set equal to our exact same query here. We just go ahead and execute it on our database. So we've connected our database, we're executing a query, and then this is how you access result set. You go while rs is equal to next, or not next, not equal to next, while we're iterating through rs.next. And then here I have the logic to actually grab the username and password. So here we have if rs.getString username, and this is how you access every element in the database while you're going through rs.next. You just do rs.getString, and if your database had an int or something, you could do rs.getArray, get ASCII stream, get anything, blob, whatever kind of different entries are in your database. There's a get for that. If the username is not equal to null, aka if our select grabs something and the password is not equal to null, meaning that we got an entry that hits with our select where the username and password correlate, then we just go ahead and print those out, and then we set our let in boolean to true. That means that we're going to let them in to the home page. We have to close our result set statement and connection. Here's just the catch. And then I like to have a little println letting us know that it was done. Maybe you should say which operation is valid. Credentials operation, as useful as it can possibly be. And then we return let in. So as you can see here, if these do return null and it is not something useful to us, then what we'll do is we'll just return false because it never gets set to true. But if if we actually get something, aka this select statement returns something, then we'll set it to true, and that means that we'll go ahead and change the scene, and then otherwise this happens. Right, so to see it in action. So here we'll just whatever, put some just random, the first thing that pops in my head. Okay, invalid credentials. How about just this? No, it won't work. The only thing that will work is username, password, and then there we go. Boom, we're at our home page. So now we've included that. Now keep in mind you could, let's just real quickly create another, insert more into our database. Here I'm already on this, so what we'll do is we'll .read make user.sql. There we go. So now we'll select, here I'll just use the up arrow. Right, so now we have this username 2, password 2, right? So let me just close out this. Okay, and now let's say we do username, then password 2. That doesn't work because our select statement, the username and the password have to equal the things that we've put in for the one entry in the database, right? And here we have our entries, and it's not going to work. So that's how we check for credentials, and that does conclude our login for our app. So next time we'll start getting into more functionality. So see you guys at the next tutorial.